Welcome to another episode of the Nigerian Kitchen, the tiny Nigerian Kitchen. Today I'm going to be making Akara, which is Nigerian bean fritters. That's right, today I'm going to be making Akara, Nigerian bean fritters. Now, if you've watched my last cooking episode, which was making moin, you'll see actually today is a very similar process. We're basically using beans that we're going to soak and peel. We've got some onions, we've got some salt, we've got mushroom powder as a substitute for stock. Again, today's is actually going to be a vegan recipe, so it's vegan bean fritters. Then we've got a little bit of chili just to add that little bit of heat. But today is yet another experimentation day. Last time with the moin, I tried to make moin with peeled black-eyed beans and unpeeled black-eyed beans, and the result was conclusive. It was better to peel your beans, but I haven't given up because I don't want to go through all that trouble every time I want to make akara or moin to have to peel beans. So I'm going to try again today to see, is it better to use peeled black-eyed beans or this, which is basically bean flour. So this is beans already been peeled and blended to a powder. So I'm going to basically be making my akara with this as well and comparing. Does this save time? Is it much easier to use? So let's start the cooking process. Okay, so I've got here 2 bowls. One that is got the beans that I've already soaked for about 2 hours and then I've peeled and washed. And then the other is the bean flour. So each has got about 250 grams. So this is about 250 grams of bean flour, and this one was about 250 grams of dried beans. Then I've also been crying off screen while chopping 2 onions, so 1 for each, 4 chilies, so 2 in each. Again, the chilies is up to you. If you like things really spicy or not, you can actually omit it. So the idea now is to dump all this in, throw in some of the mushroom powder, and add just enough water to be able to blitz this. Now, this is the biggest difference between the moin recipe and making akara. Moin, we actually added quite a lot of water. With the moin, you really want to try and add as little as possible to be able to get it to blitz. And we'll see why later when we come into frying, because we want this to hold together. So, half the onions in there, half chilies there, half chili there. Okay, so now some of the mushroom powder for flavor, and I'm going to be quite generous with this. So let's start with the beans that I've peeled first. I'm going to add just a little bit of water and try and blitz this. Okay, that's all done, and you can see the consistency there. Compared to the moin mix, this is a lot thicker. Okay, so now for the mix with the bean flour, it's probably wise that I add a little bit of water and mix it beforehand so I don't get flour going everywhere. So actually, as an interesting aside, let's shut this off a sec. When I was researching akara recipes, it turns out that in Brazil, there is a dish that's exactly the same, and it's got a really similar name to akara, which is actually from the Yoruba tribe, from the Yoruba language. I think it's called Akaraje, I'm not sure, but really similar, and it comes from a Yoruba, which means come and eat akara. Apparently it's the greetings the women in the old days used to shout out to people to come and buy the akaras as they sold them freshly fried on the roadside. Absolutely, for me, blew my mind. This food I'm making is centuries old, and it went over with the slaves that were taken to the West Indies, and now it's something that's still there in Brazil. I could go and I could eat something that I knew really well from my childhood from Nigeria over in Brazil. Amazing. Anyway, let's finish blitzing. Okay, so we've finished with the blitzing, and we can see straight away such a difference in the texture of the two. So if I look at the one I've done with the bean flour, it's quite runny. I've got a feeling I'm gonna have trouble frying this. Maybe it's too much liquid in there. Then the one with the beans, a lot thicker. This is what I know and think of when I think of the batter for akara. I'm gonna add a little bit more bean flour to this because I don't want to risk just having it too watery. So let's add a bit more and just get the consistency a bit thicker. Okay, yeah, that looks a lot better. There we go. Great. So if we look at that, it's now a lot thicker. Great. Okay, now let's fry. Okay, so I've preheated my oil to about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's do a little tester. Perfect. So, oh, that looks great. It bubbled up, it's kept together, and it's risen up to the surface. So we don't want too much moisture because from my understanding, if we have too much moisture and it goes in, all the water starts to evaporate and the batter just comes apart. So that's why you want it to be quite a thick batter. So I'm going to start off with doing a few dollops of the one that comes from the black eyed peas that I peeled myself. So original style. Woo. Woo! Okay, we want to fry those until they're golden brown on the outside. Hopefully then that means the inside is cooked as well, and then we'll leave them to drain. Okay, so good akara should be light and airy, and I think these have certainly hit the mark. They might be a little bit misshapen, I'll confess, but yes. Okay, so here are the first batch. I am so excited. Okay, so I'm gonna try and get as much of this fried as possible, and then we're gonna move on to the batch with the bean flour. Okay, so that's all of the black-eyed beans, self-peeled batter, now fried. I'm gonna move on to frying now some of the batter from the bean flour, and then we get to compare. So one of the things I noticed actually straight away is that with the bean flour, I guess it's more of a kind of batter type that I would expect from using flour. So when I drop it in, it actually holds much better together than the ones from the black-eyed beans that I peeled and ground from fresh. But what matters most is the taste, to be honest. So let's see. Okay, so the ones from the bean flour have actually browned a lot quicker. Wow. Whoa. And they seem a lot more dense. Let's fry a bit more. I'm actually going to put a little bit more water to see if that will lighten it up a little bit. So before I put more flour, now I'm putting more water. I just want to give it a fair chance, you know, because this matters. In the future, will I be going through the trouble of peeling beans, grinding them, or can I just use this very, very quick way of the cheat of bean flour? Okay, let's try. Okay. Okay, so time to taste and compare. First, I'm going to open up one of the ones. This is from the bean flour. I can feel it already. It's a lot heavier. It held together much easier when I was frying, but it's much thicker inside. Now, if I break open one of the ones from the beans, wow, that is so much lighter, so much fluffier than the ones from the flour. I guess because this made quite a thick paste, whereas even before I fried, I could tell this was going to be quite airy. So that's the first thing, but now the taste. Okay, it's not bad. It's really not bad. Okay, now for the one from the beans. Huh. Actually, just listen to this crack. Wow. So, both have their merits. The one from the bean flour held together much more easily, so I think it'll be easier to actually make some nice looking balls. The taste is not bad, but it was a bit heavier. The one from the beans that were peeled and then blitzed was a bit harder to control in the pot. It was kind of misshapen, as you can see, but so much lighter. Now, eating it, I have to say, it is a bit oilier than the ones from the bean flour, and I have to say, I don't like the oiliness so much, but here is the thing. The taste is superior. The beans really come through. And that is the thing with the akara. So I'd say airiness with the fresh beans flavor wins the day. Oh, so fresh beans once again come through. I think similar to the last time when I made moin moin, here's my conclusion. This ain't actually too bad. If you do really want to quickly make akara, you don't want to go through all that trouble, I'd say actually the bean flour is not a bad substitute, particularly if you can get it really light. So I can put even more water, I think, and really whisk that up to get it even lighter. But it will never compare to the taste from these fresh beans. Honestly, even now, it's just a different, it's just, they're in different leagues. So if you're really wanting that original traditional akara flavor, or you've got friends coming around you want to impress, it's gonna have to be from the fresh beans. Okay, now before I go, we haven't done a eating with a drink or something in a while. So today, what are we gonna be eating with? Ogi. You guys probably don't know, unless you're Nigerian, about ogi. So let me tell you very quickly before we go. Ogi is basically like custard. And I had ogi long before I ever knew what custard was. I haven't had it like for a million years. It's basically made fermented corn. And this is the flour version. So it's kind of similar to custard, but then has this slightly more sour taste to it. I absolutely love it. So you make it in the same way. I've got the ogi flour here. Okay, so some sugar in there. A little bit of cold water to make a paste. There we go. Woo! Oh yes, and then some boiling water. We'll just mix that in. Okay, and then I'm gonna microwave that for 1 minute. Okay, so actually that needed just like 20 seconds. And then, woohoo! It's nice and thick. Now guys, I know I speak with this very British accent, but I'm telling you, I come correct when it comes to having ogi and akara. And I've got here my evaporated milk. Woo! People, I am ready. So akara actually is eaten with many things, but it is sometimes just eaten as a snack with a nice bowl of Nigerian custard ogi. Okay guys, before I get carried away, thank you again for watching. Don't forget to smash that like and the subscribe button, and tune in again for the next episode. See you next time. Bye bye.